Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Time to do a review of the Ash Koosha album, GUUD. GUUD.
Oh my gosh! Ashton Kutcher? My favorite actorman?
It was at that very moment I realized me and Calchester were not so different. We both had hopes, dreams, and as long as we stuck together, a bright future. Sure, he may look a little silly on the surface, but I knew that this friendship was going to last a long time. There was only one thing I could say. I hate you. Ash Koosha is a London-based electronic music producer. All I really know about this project is I heard it a little earlier this year. It kind of mesmerized me, and now it's seeing a little bit of support from the people over at Old English Spelling Bee Records, which, sort of gave me a bit of a reminder to actually revisit this record, sort of seeing them throw it up on their Bandcamp, and sort of in revisiting it, I was like, I should review this. This record is 43 minutes, and the first time I heard it, I thought, what is this crazy musical digital sorcery? Was this record produced by an alien being on intergalactic LSD while flying his spaceship at light speed through an asteroid field? Because this record is particularly odd. There is a cold, super cold, otherworldly atmosphere to it. At times on this LP, I am reminded of Arca, and I'm reminded of Flying Lotus as well, though I think most people who sort of make experimental beat-based music are inevitably going to sort of get a Fly-Low comparison, or at least, sort of see some kind of similarities because of how much of a pioneer in the genre he's been. But despite those very surface-level comparisons, I think Ash Koosha has some very different stylistic and musical influences. I would say the sound palette on this record is kind of industrial. It's glitchy, but it's not a glitch hop album, and there's almost nothing jazzy about this record. And the songs here most definitely groove, but when they do, it often sort of exhibits this just very rigid techno vibe, or maybe even a Middle Eastern rhythm. And there are tracks in the track listing here that feel like they're pulling quite a bit from maybe some progressive synth music or soundtrack music. Some songs here kind of are ambient soundscapes. Do keep in mind that across these 43 minutes, there are quite a few songs, some of which are just a tidbit-sized 1 minute and 50 seconds or so, but still come through with an immense amount of detail. I mean, just dizzying complexity, the kind of complexity I would usually associate with like a classical composition. So not only are some of these songs very impressive compositionally, but I think there is a serious appreciation for sound on this LP, which I love. Like with the very eerie, sad, and warped lead melodies that kick this album off, to the very colorful drum timbres that are flowing throughout this record, or the subterranean bass tones. But these are just kind of, I guess, little bits of backbone that you can pick up on a lot of tracks here. There's a myriad of other completely inexplicable sounds that run throughout this record that it would take me days, if not months, to sort of describe every single one of them to you. And a lot of these sounds fly by at such a fast pace, it's hard to take them all in, especially on the first listen. But Ash Koosha usually makes sure that there is some kind of very strong melodic backbone or chord structure or rhythm, some kind of strong, memorable, sticky, catchy, unique, or interesting pattern or patterns that flow throughout these tracks that kind of guide the clutter and the insanity of these songs. Also, I need to mention that the tracks in the track listing here glide into one another so fluidly. You can really just kind of put this record on, not even pay attention to the track listing, and really just get lost in this LP because all the songs come together in what feels like this one big cohesive piece. I don't really feel like I'm listening to a bunch of little tiny unfinished beats or anything like that. This isn't one of those beat music albums where it just kind of feels like you're just getting one tidbit after another tidbit after another tidbit, and they just kind of blend together into this sort of bland smorgasbord of fat. That is not the case on this LP. When I listen to this LP, I feel like I am floating or exploring through an insanely psychedelic electronic dreamland. So again, this whole project is very cohesive, track for track for track. I feel like I'm listening to just one little movement after another of a long ongoing piece. Now, as far as going into these tracks individually, it's super hard. It's super duper hard because I can most definitely try to describe the spiraling tones and kind of the fat sputtering bass on the song Other, but again, these are just kind of just mere backbone elements of this track. While good, it's just a fraction of the song's overall detail and isn't, anywhere near as close as I could come to describing exactly what all of these elements come together and do for me emotionally. The way that Koosha sort of explores sound on this album and orchestrates it in such a coherent way, despite there being so much detail to take into account, is really impressive. I will say there are a few tracks in the track listing here that do feel a little sort of cluttered or maybe just a little unfocused. A lot like the song Slam, 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 which maybe this track won't feel like that to you. Maybe a myriad of other tracks in the track listing here will feel like that to you. There are also a few cuts here that feel so alien and abstract that I have a hard time sort of connecting with them in any kind of significant way. And with the song Triple XL, this track to me feels like one of the least creative tracks in the track listing here, mostly because I just feel like I'm listening to some glitch-based computer music, whereas with the rest of this LP, for the most part, while, obviously we're listening to music made through some kind of digital program or interface here, but Koosha does a great job of pushing these digital tools in such a way where I just feel like I'm listening to a musical communication from just somewhere off of this planet or from another dimension. Just like things are kind of just, turned on its head a little bit. So this was a really fun, refreshing, just very engaging, cool to listen to album that I loved hearing. I'm feeling a light to decent 8 on this thing. Transition. Give this album a listen. Let me know what you think of it. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Ash Koosha, forever.